It was just another Tuesday at Millstone High, the cafeteria buzzing with teenage laughter, food trays clattering, and phones glowing with silent gossip. But for Emily, the day already felt too loud. Her wheelchair wheels squeaked slightly. As she navigated past the tables, balancing her tray with a quiet dignity, Emily wasn't new to being stared at. She was used to the looks. Pity from teachers, discomfort from classmates, and worse, the cruel glances from the schools. Self-proclaimed elite dot at table 4, a group of students watched her silently. Among them was Trent Mallory, the football captain, and Skylar, the queen bee of sophomore drama. They wore smug expressions, their voices low and sharp like the edge of a knife. She shouldn't even be here, Skylar muttered under her breath. Always getting special treatment. Bet she fakes half of it anyway. Trent laughed, tossing a grape from his tray that hit the back of Emily's chair. Oops! Emily paused, jaw tightening, but said nothing. She had learned silence was safer. That standing up could make things worse. Her hands gripped the edges of her tray tighter. Hey, Emily! Trent called out louder now, fake sweetness dripping from his voice. You need help rolling to the loser's corner. Or you. Got that covered? Some students laughed. Others looked down at their trays, uncomfortable but unwilling to speak up. Emily's face turned red, but she kept moving, ignoring the whispering and laughter that trailed behind her. She took a seat at the far end of the cafeteria, her usual. Quiet spot near the window. What she didn't notice was Skylar glaring at her still, and whispering something to Trent. 15 minutes later, lunch ended. Students began clearing out. Emily rolled toward her locker, only to feel something. Was ... off. The wheels of her chair resisted. They felt lopsided, unsteady. She looked down. Her heart sank. Both of her rear wheels had been jammed with gum, zip ties, and something sticky and sharp. One of the spokes was bent unnaturally, almost snapped. The seat had been cut, the foam. Inside poking out like wounds. It was deliberate. It was planned. And it was cruel beyond measure. Her hands shook. She couldn't move. The chair tilted, and she nearly fell. Oh, what happened? Skylar's voice rang out mockingly as she walked by with a fake pout. Maybe it's time to upgrade. Try walking? Trent laughed behind her, recording everything. With his phone. Smile for TikTok wheels. Emily blinked back tears. Not here. Not in front of them. But that's when she heard it. A familiar voice. Calm. Low but commanding. Is there a reason you're filming my sister while she cries? The cafeteria went dead silent. Heads turned. At the double doors stood a man. In full army uniform. Tall. Sharp jawline. Metal ribbons across his chest. Eyes like steel. And a calm that was more terrifying than any shout. It was Staff. Sergeant Aiden Clark. Emily's older brother. Trent immediately lowered his phone. Skylar's mouth fell open. Emily blinked. Aiden? He walked toward her slowly, his boots echoing against the tiles like a countdown, not rushing, not yelling, just ... controlled ... and dangerous. He reached Emily and knelt beside her chair, his face softened only for her. Who did this? She didn't say anything, but she didn't have to. He stood and turned. The bullies weren't laughing now. Aiden didn't need to raise his voice. The room was already drowning in silence. He scanned the cafeteria slowly, his gaze steady, unreadable. Years of battlefield discipline reflected in the way he stood. Still, controlled, dangerous. Someone has 10 seconds to explain what happened to her wheelchair, he said plainly. Not a threat, just a statement. A countdown wrapped in calm. No one moved. Skylar looked at Trent, who shifted his weight uncomfortably, hiding his phone behind his back. A few students began sliding toward the exit, hoping to disappear. Aiden took one step forward. 5. Skylar's voice cracked first. We didn't mean anything by it. It was a prank. Just a joke. Is this funny to you? Aiden asked, not even looking at her yet. Because it looks like you vandalized a piece of medical equipment. That's a federal crime. Skylar froze. Someone whispered, "Is he serious?" Aiden turned to a nearby teacher who had been pretending not to notice anything all lunch. "You've been here the whole time?" he asked. The teacher stammered. Yes. But I didn't see how it started. You saw enough to do nothing," Aiden replied coldly. "Noted." Then he pulled out his phone and snapped pictures of the chair, the gum, the broken spokes, the slashed seat. "I've already contacted the base's legal unit," he said, raising his voice slightly now. "They're forwarding this to the Department of Defense Disability Rights Office. I hope your school has good lawyers." The principal suddenly appeared in the doorway, looking flushed and confused. "Mr. Clark, please, let's talk about this." But Aiden wasn't done. He turned to Trent. "You're the one who threw food at her earlier, right? Let me guess, team captain. You play rough on the field and cowered off of it?" Trent swallowed hard. His face, once full of swagger, was now pale. "We were just joking, man. She's always acting like she's better than us." Aiden's calm snapped, just slightly. He stepped forward, inches from Trent's face. His voice dropped to a chilling low. "She's better than you because she survived more pain than you could imagine. And even now, after what you did to her, she didn't say your name. That's strength. That's class." Trent looked away, ashamed, exposed. Emily was watching, her eyes wide, tears still clinging to the corners. But something was changing in her posture. Her shoulders were no longer hunched. Her chin lifted. Her big brother was here, and the world suddenly seemed less cruel. Aiden knelt beside her again. "Hey, I brought the new chair. It's in the car. This one's done." Emily blinked. "You brought a new one?" He nodded. "Military grade. Bulletproof tires. Titanium frame. You'll outrun half the school." She smiled, a little, through the hurt. It was the first time she had smiled in days. Outside, as Aiden wheeled her gently toward the parking lot, a crowd gathered by the windows, watching him open the trunk and pull out a matte black high-performance wheelchair that looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. Trent, Skylar, and their group were called to the office. Rumors spread fast about possible suspensions, lawsuits, even federal charges. But Emily didn't care anymore. As Aiden secured the new chair's armrest, he looked up at her. "I know I wasn't around much, but I'm here now. And no one messes with you again." She nodded slowly. Her voice was soft but clear. "I believe you." Back inside, the students who used to look at Emily with pity now looked at her with something new. Respect, because bullies may laugh in packs, but they always fall one by one, especially when justice walks in, wearing military boots. The next morning, something was different at Millstone High. The same hallway that once whispered insults behind Emily's back was now quiet, respectful. Some kids nodded at her. A few even moved out of the way to give her space. But Emily didn't roll in with her head down this time. She was sitting upright in her new wheelchair, jet black and military grade, smooth as air. Her hands rested confidently on the padded sides, and her eyes were focused, not afraid. Trent and Skylar were nowhere to be seen. As Emily passed the office, she saw their parents inside, voices raised, hands flying in frustration. The school board was already involved. News had spread like wildfire, not because of gossip, but because of what Aiden had done after he left. He had filed an official complaint to the school district and posted a calm, Professional message. Online that went viral overnight. When we send our soldiers home, we expect their families to be safe. If schools can't protect disabled students, then maybe the military needs to teach them how. It was shared over 40,000 times by morning. And now, Millstone High was being watched. Emily made her way to her locker. A girl named Jordan, someone who had never spoken to her before, stepped closer. "I'm really sorry about yesterday," she said quietly. "I didn't do anything to help. That was wrong of me." Emily looked at her. "Saying that now does help." Jordan smiled faintly. "If you ever need a partner for class projects I'm around." In the principal's office, things weren't going so well for Trent and Skylar. "We didn't break her," Skylar said, trying to cry. "It was just gum and tape and stuff." "But you tampered with a mobility device," snapped Principal Hayward. "That's not a prank. That's a federal-level offense." Trent crossed his arms. "This is insane. I've got college scouts watching me. You're going to throw it all away over one wheelchair?" Principal Hayward stood. He was no longer playing nice. "You threw it away the moment you thought humiliating a disabled girl was entertainment," he said sharply. "You didn't just destroy school property. You destroyed human dignity." Skylar started sobbing. Trent sat down, speechless. Their parents argued. Lawyers were called. But the principal had made his decision. "You're both suspended indefinitely. And this will go on your record." Meanwhile, Emily was in science class when a surprise visitor walked in. Aiden he was in civilian clothes now, but still stood like a soldier. He walked straight to the teacher, whispered something, and she smiled. "Class," she said, "we have a guest today. He's going to share a few things about strength, courage, and what it means to protect others." Gasps, whispers, even some. Phones pulled out quietly. Aiden stepped to the front. He didn't shout. He didn't preach. He told them a story about the time he lost 2 friends in combat, about how helplessness isn't weakness, but looking away from injustice is, about how his sister, Emily, faced bullies every day without lifting a fist, and still carried herself with more bravery than most soldiers he'd ever known. "You don't need to be in uniform to be strong," he said. "Sometimes real strength is just showing up, even when the world pushes you down." The classroom was silent. Even the toughest boys stared down at their desks. Emily sat still, but her eyes were full. For the first time, she didn't feel invisible. Outside after school, Emily waited with Aiden by the car. Students passed by. Some gave awkward smiles, others simple nods. But not a single one dared laugh. Jordan walked up and handed Emily a folded note. "It's from a few of us who want to make it right." Inside were over 30 names, students offering support, protection, even apologies. Emily folded it quietly and said, "Thanks." Aiden smirked. "Looks like your army's forming." Emily smiled. "No, just all eyes." Aiden nodded. "That's all a soldier ever needs." Outside the walls of Millstone High, the story wasn't fading. It was exploding. Local news picked it up first. Disabled girl bullied military. Brother confronts school in viral showdown. Then came the headlines across national blogs. Then talk shows. Then INFLUENCERS. But for Trent and Skylar, it wasn't just news. It was exposure. Their names were trending for the wrong reasons. Screenshots of Trent mocking Emily. A short clip of Skylar laughing. A recording of Aiden's calm confrontation. It was all out there, and the internet didn't forget. Trent lost his college scout interview. Skylar's modeling school withdrew her scholarship, and every time they stepped outside now, someone recognized them. At the gas station, at the grocery store, even online, strangers commented on their posts. You bullied a disabled girl? What's wrong with you? Karma came in army boots. Back at Millstone, the principal called for a school-wide assembly. Students filled the auditorium, buzzing with tension and curiosity. Everyone knew what it was about. Emily sat near the side ramp, not in the front, not on stage, but eyes kept drifting toward her dot. Then Principal Hayward stepped up, microphone in hand, face serious. What happened in this school was unacceptable. He began, not only because of the act itself, but because of how many of us stayed silent. That ends now. Murmurs. Then he looked down toward Emily. Emily Clark has agreed to say a few words. Gasps. Surprise? Emily? Speaking? A teacher wheeled her toward the stage ramp, but halfway there, she raised her hand. I'll do it myself. She locked her hands to the new chair's rim and pushed up the ramp alone. The crowd watched, quietly, a few stunned, each push steady. Strong. She reached the top, positioned herself in front of the mic, then paused. No tears, no shaking. Just calm. Like her brother. I never wanted attention, she began. I never wanted pity. I just wanted to learn, to be normal in a place that treats everyone fairly. But that didn't happen. She looked at the sea of faces. I was bullied, not just by students, but by silence. The auditorium froze. But I forgive you. She continued, not because you deserve it, but because I do. A few students gasped softly. Some looked down. One girl began to cry quietly. I'm not asking anyone to be a hero, just to be human. When you see something wrong, don't. Film it. Fix it. When someone's struggling, don't laugh. Lift them. That's how we make this school safe, not by rules, but by courage. She paused. That's all I wanted to say. And with that, she backed her chair away from the mic, turned and rolled herself down the ramp, alone. But this time, to applause. Real, raw, loud. Not sympathy. Respect. Dash after the assembly. Dozens of students approached her in the halls, not to say sorry, but to thank her. Some even admitted they had laughed before, but they weren't laughing now. She didn't need to say much. Her voice had already echoed through every heart. In that room, that day, the school issued new anti-bullying protocols. Counseling was offered. A support club was started, and guess who they asked to be honorary chair? Emily Clark. Meanwhile, Aiden stood quietly in the parking lot that afternoon, waiting to pick up his sister. He wasn't in uniform now, just jeans and a black jacket. But when Emily came rolling out, head high, a small smile on her face, he saluted her. She laughed. You don't have to salute me. Yes, I do, he said. You're the bravest one in the family. She looked back toward the school. It's strange. It doesn't feel scary anymore. Because you took your power back, Aiden said, and you gave others permission to do the same. That night, a teacher shared Emily's speech online. Within hours, it had over 300,000 views. By morning, she was invited to speak at a youth leadership event. Her words had gone beyond Millstone. She was inspiring thousands now. And it all started with a broken wheelchair. Weeks had passed, but Millstone High would never be the same again. The girl who once rolled in quietly, hoping not to be noticed, was now on the front page of the school newsletter, not for what had been done to her, but for what she had become. Emily Clark, the voice that changed us all. She wasn't just surviving now, she was leading. She started a student-led initiative called Stand Up First, a safe space group that brought students together to speak out against bullying, exclusion, and injustice. The group had grown from 4 students to over 80 in just 2 weeks. Her confidence had become contagious. One afternoon, during club meeting, the door creaked open, and in walked Jordan, followed by 3 girls who once used to sit with Schuyler. There was an awkward pause. Emily looked at them. We wanted to help, one of them said, nervously. We were wrong. I know words won't fix it, but maybe action can? Emily nodded slowly. That's a start. No long speech, no drama, just growth. Meanwhile, Trent and Schuyler had returned to school, not with the same popularity, not with phones flashing. They walked the hallways in silence, heads lowered, ignored. The cafeteria wasn't theirs anymore. No table saved. No seat claimed. And when Trent saw Emily pass by, this time, he looked away, not because of shame, because she didn't look small anymore. One day after school, Emily sat alone outside under the old oak tree, the one her mother used to park next to when she was in middle school. Aiden sat beside her, sipping coffee from a paper cup. You're quiet, he said. She smiled. Just thinking. About? She hesitated. About how everything changed. It used to hurt just coming here. Now, I feel like I belong. He nodded. You earned that. I didn't do it alone, she said, glancing at him. Aiden smiled. Maybe, but you faced them. You didn't just survive. You stood up. That's something even most soldiers struggle with. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Aiden stood. Well, this is my last day here. Emily blinked. You're leaving? Got reassigned to a base overseas. I leave tomorrow. There was a pause. A lump in her throat. I'm going to miss you, she said. I'll always be one call away, he replied. But the truth is, you don't need protecting anymore. She smiled. Maybe not, but it helped knowing you were here. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. Then make sure someone else knows you're there when they need it. The next morning, Emily rolled into the gym, where a school-wide award ceremony was underway. Principal Hayward stepped up to the mic. We have one final award to give out today, he said. It's not for grades or sports or perfect attendance. It's for courage, for character, for leadership. He looked at her, and it goes to someone who didn't just change our school. She changed us. A wave of applause filled this gym as Emily was wheeled up on stage. She accepted the medal quietly, but confidently. No speech this time. Her presence said enough. That night, back home, Emily opened her desk drawer. Inside was the old photo she'd kept hidden for so long. One of her walking with braces, holding Aiden's hand, smiling before the accident. She didn't cry this time. She placed the photo on her shelf, right next to her new medal. Not because she missed who she used to be, but because she finally loved who she had become. Somewhere in the world, Aiden sat at a quiet campfire, reading a letter from his sister. Thank you for standing beside me when I couldn't stand on my own. But now, I rise in my own way, and I'll never let another soul fall the way I did. Not while I'm watching. Because I'm not just a girl in a chair anymore. I'm the girl who rolls forward and brings others with her. He smiled, folded the letter, and looked up at the stars. The fight was over, but the fire would never go out. Sometimes the strongest people in the room aren't the loudest. They're the ones who rise silently, despite pain, despite judgment, and still choose kindness over revenge. Emily was mocked, broken, and left behind. But she didn't need revenge to win. She rose with dignity, courage, and the strength to forgive. And when the world tried to silence her, she spoke with her actions. And the world finally listened. Because real power isn't about muscles or popularity. It's about choosing to stand, even when you're sitting in a wheelchair.